มังคลานิกาตวานาคาตมุตรังอิวะคาปินิยาจินจายตัวตวัจนังชนะกายมาเชสันเตนะโส Okay, I got to get the elephants over there for this week's Pele report from Doi Saket Buddhist temple here, and it is December 3rd of 2025. The moon is in Taurus, but it will be moving into Gemini shortly and come into a full moon at 13 degrees 4 minutes of Gemini. And that will be, later on today, at least here in Thailand. I don't know, depends on where you are. And then Friday, it's going to be moving into Cancer and opposing Mars, and going just before that, squaring Saturn and Neptune, and doing a number of different aspects as she goes along. And then she's going to make a little bit of a yod, in Cancer to Pluto on the one hand, and Sun and Venus on the other. So finally, on Sunday moves into Leo, and on Tuesday Virgo. So we've got this moon, full, and then, yes, moving on and moving up. The planets that I want to talk about, and you can see it, the chart that I put at the very beginning, the grand trine of, right? What is it? The moon conjuncts Jupiter and comes along in a grand trine with Black Moon, Lilith, and Mercury, and Saturn and Neptune, triggering this kite formation if you include Uranus. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up to the top, and I'm going to finish this. But first, I just want to get a little close-up, right, of our friends that are guarding the great Buddha. Yeah, it's very, very beautiful. And these creatures with, I don't know exactly what they are, but here we want to get this guy too. Boom. Yes, indeed. All right, let me continue this a little bit later at the top. Okay, made it up to the top. So to finish these aspects, we have a Mars trine Chiron on Friday. The big thing is that the sun is going to be squaring the moon's nodes. That's exact on Saturday, but it's, give it a few days on either side, so pretty much all week. Then I talked about the grand trine that I want to be speaking to you about today. But in addition to that, we have Mars square Saturn. Okay, that's going to be on Monday. And I just want to give you a shot of the valley. I'm about 45 minutes north of Chiang Mai. It's up in the mountains. And going up to Chiang Rai to see the White Temple. I'll share that with you next week, but this is very, very special. Last thing today that might come up a little bit in today's report is Mercury is in conjunct Chiron on Thursday. And and the moon is square to Chiron on Monday. And I really like to look at Chiron as the ruler, a co-ruler of Sagittarius, where we have all these planets happening right now. So, yes, with Buddha, I will share. All right, everybody. Well, I am in the parking lot of the temple here of Kuan Yin. And right down the hill from here, there is the footprints of Buddha that were discovered here many years ago. A couple thousand years ago, I think. And I put some photos of those footprints. The footprint of Buddha. It really applies to what I want to be talking with you about today. And this whole Sagittarius. Sagittarius, is the realm of truth and belief and religion and natural laws. that govern all evolution and nature, the wild, the forests and the streams and the mountains and horses. And so nature and natural law and the merging of nature and natural law with meaning and purpose and something to believe in and understand our life experience. Yes, Carl Jung said that the need for meaning is a foundational, fundamental, very important human need. And if we lose a sense of meaning to the phenomena of our lives, we lose a desire to live. So it's important to have meaning, and of course, people make different things mean different things. I want to read to you the full moon here. It's the 14th degree, the Sabian symbol for the 14th degree of Gemini. And especially it ends with a bang. So let's check it out. Bridging physical space and social distinctions. Two men communicate telepathically. The keynote is the capacity to transcend the limitations of bodily existence. In order to function in the world of material entities, humanity needs to focus the energies of life in a limited organism and an ego mind that is formed by the pressures of a particular culture and family background. Yet a time comes when the individual can still transcend the limiting boundaries of culture and ego. An effort should then be made to enter a realm of consciousness in which the communication from mind to mind can take a more direct form, because the minds then operate within the one mind of humanity. It is then as if two cells in a human body were communicating to each other, perhaps through some kind of invisible nerve channels, or, as it were, from nucleus to nucleus by means of vibratory resonance. At this, we see the potentiality of a new technique to be used in the newly opened lands, confronting the pioneers in human evolution. It is a technique of transcendence. And here's the big bang. It evidently can also bring confusion and many failures, as well as illusory claims and self-deceit. We are in a time now where, yes, this kite formation is what I want to really be speaking to you about. It's so very powerful, and it has been getting triggered since October 24th, when the moon and black moon Lilith, came by. The tail of the kite. Late Scorpio, early Sagittarius, 1 degrees of Sagittarius, right opposite Uranus, and then in a grand trine with Jupiter, Saturn, and Neptune making the wings of the kite. Yeah? So this is really, we know that Saturn, Neptune is the end of illusions, falling away, the end of thousands of years, of patriarchy, and even of Pisces is connected with Christianity. Yes, the old understanding of Christianity. So I want to be talking about that today. And then I've already brought up that Jupiter, the ruler of Sagittarius, where we now have Mars, the Sun, Venus, Mercury is coming, Black Moon Lilith. There's this all this very powerful energy happening. And even all through 2026, any planet transiting that 0 degrees of Sag will oppose Uranus, and go into a trine. Okay, I mean, Jupiter is going, back and forth over there in late Cancer, and Pluto is going, in a sextile to Uranus over there. So we have this, I'm sorry, Neptune is early Aries, making this kite formation active all through 2026. And what is it about? What is Sagittarius about? This is what I want to discuss today. Whether it is Kuan Yin, which is this feminine inner energy, or whether it is Mohammed or Buddha or Jesus Christ or Yahweh or any of these other, gods and religious figures, these Atman, these Buddhas that have attained, enlightenment and have, gone beyond into magical realms of healing and miracles. And, they say that Buddha does not have to reincarnate. He's done. He doesn't have to come back anymore. So we have, so much other energy happening through this patriarchy. But what I really want to point out with this Jupiter ruling Sagittarius in the sign of Cancer is, and the mantra today speaks to it, there is this Sagittarian fire and air masculine that is seeking spirituality, meaning, understanding, philosophy, purpose, outside, in the stars, in the astrology, in the spiritual teachers, in the teachings of the guru, okay, on Instagram or YouTube or this teacher or that teacher, or all these teachings, and it's all head and it's all mental, and we read and we receive pictures and we get images, and it's all very, very, very up, out, and away. It's very masculine. And now we have this ruler of Jupiter, this ruler of Sagittarius, Jupiter, in the sign of Cancer. And Cancer is the bottom of the chart. Water, the feminine, seeks the inner world. And there is this need, and it's like I almost want to acknowledge 2026 as the year of embodying astrology and embodying the spirit and bringing this external belief down into our astral bodies, our etheric bodies, our emotional bodies, our physical bodies, and really feeling this connection. And this is what brings through telepathy. I'm here studying with Mantek Chia, and he talks about the orbit and how we can die consciously if we spiritualize the body before we die. And now I want to bring in Chiron a little bit, because I want to bring in a little esoteric Christianity that Rudolf Steiner spoke of. And he spoke of the mystery of Golgotha. He spoke of Christ, not Jesus, but that Christ consciousness, which is also Chiron consciousness. Chiron has been associated with Christ consciousness, discovered in 1977. It is this new aspect, of consciousness that we can now deal with. And I feel, and this just kind of came to me in my meditations, is that this Christ consciousness is the second coming. Now, I know a lot of Christians are talking about this being the final days and the judgment day and the second coming, but I want to give it a different interpretation. The interpretation of Rudolf Steiner, was actually, number one, that when the spear of Longinus pierced the side of Jesus on the cross and the blood spilt onto planet Earth, if we were to view the earth from a far distant space, we would have seen the entire aura of the earth change color. Now, this is the physical earth, and the aura of the earth is the astral body of the earth, the etheric realm. And then in another lecture, Rudolf Steiner spoke of the second coming of Christ was to be into the etheric realm, that he was not coming physically, he was not descending from the sky on a cloud, there was not going to be a physical body, but that he comes into the etheric realms. So Rudolf Steiner in Anthroposophy looks at the human being as a fourfold nature. The physical body is the mineral realm. The etheric body is our energy body, or the plant realm. The astral body is associated with the animal realm. And on top of that, then, the human has the ego. So it's ego, astral, etheric, physical. So what I'm getting to is that this is a time period now, we could say that in Christ consciousness, the second coming of Christ is that the etheric life body of planet Earth and the Earth herself is spiritualized. So these natural laws of Sagittarius that give us meaning and purpose, we can really get so much more out of nature. And not only nature, but going within. I was on a hike through the jungle on the island of Ko Chang last week or the week before, and just noticing nature. One of the laws of nature is that nature adapts. Nature adapts. Whether it's a drought, whether they're the temperatures, whether there's floods, nature is constantly, every jungle, every forest, every mountaintop, there are plants that adapt and settle in and take over. So, part of a natural law is, our ability as human beings to adapt, whether it's climate change, whether it's AI and technology, whether it's, but, we have the ability. And the apex of this kite is Uranus. Change. Radical, unexpected, extreme, sometimes traumatic change. And the apex of the kite is where the work needs to be done. The evolutionary work needs to be done. So Uranus rules this third eye, that we are in this period of awakening. So the work here, as Uranus is just leaving the earthly sign of Taurus, the critical degree, 29th degree of Taurus, it's to get our final lessons in our bodies. Another natural law that came to me is that nature hates a void. Nature will fill a void. If you're in the jungle, or you're in the ocean, or you're in a puddle, and you make a splash, or you throw a rock, the water fills it up, right? If you clear out a section of the jungle, in no time, it will be filled. It's almost like, at any time there is a void, nature and the plant world, the etheric world will fill that void with something new. Something new. So this is really something. if our minds are always filled, if we're always busy, if we're always thinking, if we're always taking care of business, there is no void in our mind. And the only time that we can get a new creative idea is maybe when we go to sleep and have a dream. Because we're not emptying our minds. We're not opening space for Kuan Yin or the dragons or Jesus, Yeshua, or Buddha, or Allah, or Yahweh to really enter our astral body, enter our ego, our astral body, our etheric body, our physical body. So this is another place where I want to say that, you know, this Eastern way, and we can look at the West as being yang and masculine, and the East as being inner and feminine. So I've come back here. I'm not doing any readings this month. I've decided to just, kind of, let go of all this outer, and kind of go inner. And it is through the stillness and sitting still. And I have a hard time sitting still. I have a hard time not thinking. I got the moon in Gemini. In the 10th house of business. Cut it out, right? So I know the challenges here. I'm facing the dragon. To sit still. So let me read this. This week's mantra, right? Is very fitting. For the Sabian symbol, for all of this Sagittarius, and for what's really coming on, and that is Mercury. The left brain, retrograding back and now coming back forward for the third pass, forming a grand trine, yes, with the moon and Jupiter, with Saturn and Neptune, and conjoining with Black Moon Lilith. This is the week. This is the week of the kite, of the grand trine. And then even when Mercury goes into Sagittarius, right, it's going to oppose Uranus. So this is a whole week period where I really suggest, and you use this mantra, right? I can follow all the teachers and read all the posts. Do yoga till I'm all tired out. But until I sit still, close my eyes and breathe, I won't know what it's all about. The Western path of AI and media and answers and business and sales and Christmas and go, fast food and versus, in comparison, in polarity, in counterpoint, polarity to the east of the Buddha, one Buddha after another sitting. Some have their eyes closed. Some have their eyes halfway open. Some are just barely open. They're sitting, breathing in stillness, opening a void within their mind to be enlightened, to be inspired, to have Uranian lightning bolts of flashes of inspiration break into their consciousness. So as much as we can especially now during these next couple weeks, balance ourselves with outer activity along with inner stillness. Enter the void, and you shall be filled. One more time. Let me give you that mantra and say it so it rhymes. I can follow the teachers and read all the posts, do yoga till I'm all tired out. But until I sit still, close my eyes and breathe. I won't know what it's all about. May you sit still, close your eyes, and breathe. Namaste, Sawadee Kap, so much love.